I'm Jerri Sutherland with eXp Realty. Today I'm going to be talking to you about real estate terms. Buying a home can be one of the most valuable and significant investments an individual can make. Be an informed seller or buyer. An understanding of some of the real estate terms will assist you during a real estate transaction. I'm going to start with A's. Annexation. To annex means to add or attach, usually to join a smaller or subordinate thing to a larger and more significant or dominant thing. Annexation is permanently affixing to real property, such as a city incorporating additional land to increase its size. Number 2, appraisal. An appraisal is a valuation of property. An appraiser renders an estimate of the value of property as of a certain date under assumptions and conditions stated in the appraisal report. Typically, a buyer's lender will require an appraisal when a home or land is purchased to verify that the loan is secured by property that is of a certain amount. An appraisal is not an inspection. Environmental concerns, general. Over the years, the market has identified conditions that buyers should know may exist. Environmental hazards include lead-based paint, mold, pesticides, radion gas, toxic waste, underground storage tanks, urethra, formaldehyde, insulation, and other pollutants. Wetlands or endangered species may also restrict the use of the property. Environmental inspections. If a buyer is concerned that environmental hazards, wetlands, or endangered species may be present on the property, the buyer may have a qualified expert to inspect the property for such items. The parties may also include a promulgated addendum TXR 1917 in the contract that may address such matters. Lead-based paint. If a property was built before 1978, federal law requires that the seller provide the buyer with a pamphlet titled "Protect Your Family from Lead in Your Home," TXR 2511, records or reports that the seller may have concerning lead-based paint or hazards, and an opportunity to have the property inspected by a qualified expert for lead-based paint or hazards. Mold. It is not uncommon to find mold spores in a property. The concern about mold increases when there are a large amount of mold found in a property. The Texas Department of Insurance publishes a document titled "Protect Your Home from Mold," TXR 2507, which discusses mold in more detail. Oak wilt and diseased trees. There are diseases such as oak wilt, and other conditions that may affect oak trees and other plants. Oak wilt is a fungus that affects certain oak trees. If the buyer is concerned about such matters, the buyer may have trees and plants inspected by a professional. Noise. Surrounding properties are used for a variety of purposes. Some of these uses cause noise, for example, airports, railroads, schools, highways, bars, arenas, and construction. The buyer is encouraged to drive to review the area around the property at various days and times. Expansive soils. Soil conditions vary greatly throughout Texas. Many soils will move, some more than others. The movement will many times affect the foundation of a home or a building and may cause cracks in the walls or other parts of the building. Additionally, if a property is newly constructed, the concrete curing process can cause the foundation of the building to move. Seasonal changes in the amount of moisture in the soil may also cause foundations to move. The buyer should check with an inspector or qualified expert to minimize the risk of movement. Or PTA. The Foreign Investment in Real Estate Tax Act of 1980 may require buyers in certain situations involving a seller who qualifies as a foreign person to withhold up to 15% of the amount realized by the seller, usually of the sales price, for federal taxes. A foreign person may be defined as number 1, a non-resident alien individual, number 2, a foreign corporation that has not made an election under the Internal Revenue 897I code to be treated as a domestic corporation, or number 3, a foreign partnership, trust, partnership, or estate. The definition does not include a resident alien individual. A seller should notify the buyer if he is a foreign person as defined by federal law. If the seller is unsure as to whether he qualifies as a foreign person, he should seek the advice of a tax professional or an attorney. Flood hazard, floodways, and flood insurance. Many properties are in a flood hazard area. Lenders who make loans on properties located in special flood hazard areas require the owner to maintain flood insurance. Additionally, some properties may lie in the floodway. Texas Realtors publishes a form titled Special Flood Hazard Areas, TXR 1414, which discuss flood hazard areas and floodways in more detail. The buyer is encouraged to buy flood insurance regardless of whether the property is in a high, moderate, or low risk flood area.